Hey guys, welcome to episode 14. I wanted to do something a little bit different this time. I wanted to talk about we've had Aura for a little over a month now, so I kind of wanted to just talk about expectations versus reality. What I expected it was going to be like having a puppy and what it's actually been like. Um, and I think this is really important going into this experience or planning to get a dog or bringing a new dog into your home. It's tough. The first 2 weeks were really tough. Um, Insofar as you're acclimating the dog is acclimating to you. You feel like you're not making any progress. It's tough to not get frustrated. And I think what I would have liked to have known going into that is that's completely normal. I think you expect that dogs are supposed to just fall right into your routine and just be perfect, or that it takes less work than it actually does. So I just wanted to say that. So if you're really considering getting a dog, and I go over some of the specifics in other parts of the video, I think mentally just being prepared the first couple weeks are really tough. The benefits are incredible. After those first weeks, they start to understand you. The communication starts. I think with Aura, I was a little too overeager when I started training her. I just jumped right into it, and maybe I should have waited maybe a week just to have it so the dog got used to me as I was getting used to her. I don't think there was any problem. We never had any major issues. I just think I would have released the pressure on myself going into the whole experience, and that was kind of what I took from this is like I should have been nicer to myself and my own expectations. So first couple weeks were a lot of tough things. I say jump into training after you feel like they've gotten acclimated. You want the dog to understand that they're safe and that they love you and that they're your master and that they've bonded with you, I think, before you really get into some training, But then I think it's you got to keep them occupied and have them understand how you're living. That's the other thing is not just, you want to give in to your dog, but you don't want to change your routine completely because you don't want to be in a position where the dog is used to going to the crate or used to doing things at a certain time that aren't going to fit your normal schedule. So, again, we were pretty conscious about that after the first week is kind of like, okay, now this is going to work for us. This is when my schedule works. So you're going to have to work on my schedule as well, as much as, that sort of thing. And I think scheduling walks and that sort of thing. You're going to get used to scheduling. That's another thing. Having a young puppy, especially for the first month, it's a lot of scheduling. Dog took a nap, gonna have to take it to pee or it's gonna pee in the house. Dog had a meal, it's gonna pee. Dog's been playing for 15 minutes, it's gonna have to pee. It was really funny that first week. I could not believe how much a puppy goes to the bathroom. Then you realize how fast they're growing and they're just they're growing an inch a week and they're eating all the time and they're drinking all the time. You can tell Aura's teething, so that's another thing we'll go over in a different video. But right around now, she's teething, and then a few months from now, she's going to get her beautiful adult fur, and you're going to start looking like a real Borzoi. You excited about that? Doesn't seem like you're excited about that. So yeah, so I think going into it, the first month is really the learning period where they're understanding you. They've been taken from their litter, taken from their parents. They have to learn to trust you. And then, on top of that, if you're frustrated or tired and just you take it out on the dog, like they don't understand it all. They just read your mood and your frustration, and they think it's something that they're doing and something that they're doing wrong. Especially with potty training, if you can be in a situation where a dog, they don't realize that it's not what they're doing that's wrong, it's where they're doing it. So I've as in researching, I've seen that certain dogs that are trained improperly, they actually felt like going to the bathroom was the bad thing. It didn't have to do with the location. So you have to be really soft-handed. And I think this applies especially with a Borzoi. They are so incredibly sensitive and aware of how you are emotionally with them. You cannot be heavy-handed. You cannot slap them. You cannot. A lot of times, just a change in your vocal will be enough to have them understand that what they're doing is wrong. So that's something to be very aware. If you're used to dogs that are tough-willed and tough-nosed, and you have to be a little bit different with them, or a little more heavy-handed, because some dogs do need a hard structure. Not to say that Borzois don't. It's just that you can't enact that in any sort of ruthless way. That said, this is another really big thing. Going through training, you have to mean what you say. And if you if your dog is starting to take sit on command, you'll go through, especially in the first month, there's a little bit of rebellious phase where they're pushing back on you. So when you tell a dog to sit or you give them a command, you have to be ready to back that up with a more stern command, not yelling, but just maybe a change in your vocal, a use of a hand signal, repeating the gesture. And then when they get that, of course, positive praise, but you can't let it go. You know, I've noticed the 1 or 2 times that Aura has gotten away with something, you know, it sticks. It really sticks. You know, apparently they learn within 1 second of an action. So if it happens and you're not on top of it, you can be left with something that I think is okay. You know, also there's so many different types of training out there, and it's been amazing, all the research and doing all this stuff. And I'm glad you guys are along with me, because I don't really know what I'm doing anyway. So as I'm fumbling through this, you guys can join me on this. You know, I found that, yeah, you want to catch your dog in a situation when they're doing something wrong so you can provide them that structure. But you don't want to set them up. You don't want to, you want to put them in an environment where they can succeed rather than they can fail. You know, in the 1 or 2 times we've caught Aura either jumping on something or chewing on something improperly, it just took 1 reprimand and she goes, oh, that's not my stuff. I shouldn't be doing that. And instead of having to be mean and purposely setting them up to fail, you know, it just comes about naturally. And I think that as they go along in their routine and with you, they understand what is theirs and what's not. And also I think by nature of the dog, Aura is a very intelligent dog. So I'm pretty excited. I had an idea for some additional content to this channel that I'm going to be launching this week. I would love, if you guys are enjoying these videos, to you know, tell me if you like it or not. It's very honest in that way. I'm not going to ruin what it is. I'm just going to make the first episode of it and put it up there. It's going to be a little bit different format than this. Maybe not too different format. Other than that, I'm still going to keep doing these training things as we go into the next period of growth. You know, we're going into when she's getting her adult teeth. We're going through teething. We're going through a lot of things. She's learned a lot of tricks. She's really becoming a dog. Her personality's coming out. This has been the most fun week. You can finally see, like, her lights are turning on. She's starting to feel her way in her place in the world. She, you know, she's had all her puppy shots, so we're going to dog parks and she's meeting dogs and she's becoming a social being. It's really fun to watch. This is the most fun I've ever had owning a pet. I think probably because I'm looking at it with such a scrupulous eye, thinking that I'm going to use it in videos, and also, you know, I've never had a Borzoi this young, so it'll be fun. I'm going to keep doing these. Then in addition to the other stuff. So please keep the comment coming. You know, shoot me a DM on Instagram. I'm all over TikTok. I communicate very readily, so if you have any questions or comments or anything, please send them to me. As always, thank you guys, and I'll talk to you soon. Bye.